Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. A sky with rainbow and bluish clouds become gloomy with full of tears and noise in next moment. Does it flavor impermanent? Is it inevitable? Aren't we dependable on its mood? I'm not expecting for an answer, but answer will lead you to which you are blind and what Markandeya is in continuous attempt to capture in her novel, Nectar in a Sieve. Let me go back to the statement I used to open up myself. It clearly states that everything changes, but that's not the point. Will it turn to black or white? It is with you to decide in which color you expect it. And that's what Markandeya wants us to understand. If you do not grasp this concept of happy life and contentment, you will be pessimistic throughout the storyline, as it is the strength of her protagonist, her own optimistic attitude in every down and up. With this thought in your mind, let us move to the set presentation of Group 1. Let me invite Chethya to continue the presentation. Chethya, floor is yours.
Yes, Sithmini. So let's get into our first topic, industrialization. The article recognizes industrialization as one basic theme dealing with the political facet of the novel. Under this, we come across 2 points, capitalism and colonization. So now, let me bring you to one eye-catching statement our group found from the article. Industrial capitalism, being Western in its origins, is white. Thus, the novel is about the white man's exploitation of the non-white. This quotation gives us a notion of imperial colonialism and the ways and means that capitalism came in hand with it, causing quite a stir in the rural life. So now, let me move on to our next topic, fatalism. The fate of being an ill-favored woman, fate of being a woman, and fate of being a human. Kamala Markandeya brings out the fact that the Indian people's faith in religion and passive resignation to fate enable them to face the hardships of life courageously without blaming anyone. It gives them a sort of mental strength, protecting them from danger of tension and conflict. So now I invite Vishoda to carry on our presentation.
Thank you, Chethya. As a group, we have come across that organization of the novel can be divided into 2 facets as emphasis on time and italicized adverbs. Then, if we move back to emphasis of time and how it shaped the organization of the novel, we identify the fact that the time is a very significant factor in the novel, and it presented in a subtle manner by Markandeya, indicating time by days, nights, seasons, festivals, and journeys as well. When it comes to usage of italicized adverbs, it can further divide into 2 parts, mood and character. The narration is done in a flashback, and the technique flashback represents the nostalgic mood of Rukmini, like she reveals and speaks about the happy time that she spent with her husband Nadan, even though she was struggling hard to overcome the life challenges. So, as an example, I take an quotation from the novel. Sometimes at night, I think my husband is with me, again, coming gently through the mist, and we are tranquil together. Then, when I move into the character, writer has used italicized adverbs to demonstrate how the narrator has depicted characterization in the novel. For an example, in the dialogue between Rukmini and Selva, do not talk about it, he said tenderly. Unless you must, it was a gentle passing, I said. As it quoted from the novel, that gentleness and honor inherited to son from his father. The author has used words gently, tenderly to illustrate the narrator's mood and implies the characters as well. So, in general, she has done it throughout the novel. Sanuki, you may continue the presentation now.
Yeah, Vishoda, thank you. Now my topic is Hindu concepts. When it's come to the depiction of Hindu concept in Markandeya's novel Nectar in a Sieve, as the article states that we can come across 2 points having amalgamate to bring Hindu concepts. So here, my first point is easy acquaintances. Suffer is a form of purification. Sacrifices would bring happiness, as causes for sorrow are also a cause for happiness. Then, my second point is oppositive points. Highly elevated, these concepts of Hinduism are depicted in a very simple manner through Markandeya's novel Nectar in a Sieve. Therefore, she has uses the character of Puli, who is being left with only stubs in his hand because he is a leprosy patient. These two factors are amalgamated with each other and it has portrayed the heart of Hindu philosophy. So, this core of Hinduism is depicted in a simple manner through the character of Puli. Well, now I invite Sithmini to continue with the presentation.
Thank you, Sanuki. Moving on to the next slide, we come across the irony displayed in the novel. For that, let me use the character of Kenny. Kenny, being a white man, makes he view himself as an alien from another space. And also, here the article states that this would appear to be the voice of impatient, scientific enlightenment, condemning the blind obscurantism of faith that demeans. But wait, Markandeya has unveiled the true face of Kenny, because he himself announces that he is entangled in philosophy schools. So, ladies and gentlemen, amidst this incident, Markandeya comes up with a traditional face of the same irony. For that incident is the ancient conflict between Vishnu and Shiva. With the aid of these two incidents, Markandeya comes up with a much significant factor in her novel, and that's the universality of human behavior and emotions. And we extracted a very nice quotation which suggests this from the article. Let me read it. As we have said, the story is about time, which means change. But as the narrator tells us, this in itself is not new, suggests it's a repetition, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what is universality presented in Markandeya's Nectar in a Sieve. With this, let me hand over the presentation once again to Chethya.
Yes, Sithmini. So now let me call your attention to our next topic, impermanence and inevitability. Life flourishes and dies, flourishes and dies. Change is the only absolute. I know that our audience is well aware of this eternal and universal truth of change. But Markandeya wants us to further contemplate on this idea. At one point, Sithmini gives the idea of change and impermanence of life through her experience. Her narration goes like this. My father had been a headman once, a person of consequence in our village. I had seen both my parents sink in old age and death. Just as a ripple effect, Markandeya emphasizes on the nature of impermanence in life. Further, writer elaborates the inevitability of seasons. This abiding quality of change is displayed through comparisons which act metaphorically. Here, the article points out significance in Markandeya's writing. We find 2 points. 1, use of experience as a source of metaphor, and 2, offering more value to the object that is element compared. So now, let me move to my next topic, interdependence. For that, I want you to consider the quotation in our slide. For without the crops to labor, none will be fed. Markandeya illustrates the close interdependence of man and nature. In the novel, we find Rukmini, Nathan offering their blood, sweat, and tears in their field in the hope of a good harvest. Because they know better the harvest, better their lives be. Oh, they are left with nothing but hunger and poverty. So with that idea, I once again hand over our presentation to Vishoda.
Yes, Chethya. As I have mentioned in the presentation, the author has used metaphorical language and also metaphor has become symbol in the novel, which has delivered the balance between narrator's experiences and reader's expectations. Taking an example, one by one, they have come out into the early morning sunshine. My son, my daughter, and Puli. In terms of experience, this is what has happened. Night has departed, the family away. Metaphorically, the sunshine of the day brings the warmth of hope, and symbolically, the children follow their parents as day follows night. So Sanuki, take it forward.
Thank you,
Hello,
Vishoda.
your 10-minute mark is up now. Okay, you can continue.
Okay, for here, my point is human handling social changes. Human is the one who is responsible for the violent changes to continue in a successful phase. We have extracted the fact that more violent the season, faster came social changes. It is a metaphorical representation. Human is the only one who is responsible for the faster arrival of social changes. So my next point is symbolical representation. When it comes to the symbolical representation of Markandeya's novel Nectar in a Sieve, we come up with two basic symbols which are shown as tannery and hospital. Actually, the tannery and hospital has been kept side to side to show that we have to walk in the moderate path. Tannery is used to show that white face of the hospital. It is not only money has built it, but men's hopes and pity. This suggests the author's moderate attitude on Eastern and Western, which are placed at the end of restraint. So, Chethya, you may continue with the presentation.
Yes, Sanuki. To proceed with, I want our audience to focus on the quotation displaying on the top left kingdom slide. The two aspects of existence, as the author sees it, exist side by side throughout the novel. Some are cruel and also evil, and this evil is sometimes the product of love and always a companion of happiness. To make it more clear to my audience, I want you to consider the snake incident, for instance. Cobra is sacred traditionally, but Nathan kills it for the sake of his love for Rukmani to protect her. So, my dear audience, everything has two sides, good and bad. We should not have a warm prejudices upon them. Maybe what is called traditional will be poison, that depends on the situation. So what the writing says is that we should be able to tackle the situation as per the face of it at present. So with that idea, now I move on to the final part of our presentation, the plausibility of the novel. As the article states, the success of novel Nectar in a Sieve is measured with its plausibility. And plausibility depends on characterization as it is narrated in the first person. Well, in that way, we understand that in Nectar in a Sieve, first person narration makes no prejudice. Because the narrator is a present woman, we expect and understand her commonplaces. Moreover, plausibility is recognized with novel shape, placing of comment, and language. But here we identify a different version in the narrator as an intelligent and a sophisticated one. In fact, it gives a hint of the author and it leads to the sophistication of the novel amid its simple outline. This ultimately creates a tension between narrator and author, making it one of the main delights of the novel. So my dear audience, hope you got an idea. So my invitation is to Sithmini to conclude our presentation.
Yes, thank you, Chethya. As we have come to the end of our presentation, let me conclude it. Before that, I would like to state it in this way. We have been discussing about socio-economic, political, interpersonal, and intrapersonal facets, which will together makes our existence real. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we have addressed organization and plausibility of the novel. With the amalgamation of these two, how Markandeya's Nectar in a Sieve became a success. Before ending, let me add one more wording. It's in this way. Take this to your heart. Life flows on, whether we cry or smile. So be a challenger to your own fate and be another Rukmani who always faces downs in life, but still looking up in the sky, which change is the only absolute. Hey, you. Is you. On which side are you? White or black? Thank you.